What's up, EV Clan? Alex Espion here, and welcome back to the next episode of the Pokemon Red Randomizer Nuzlocke, where in today's episode, I want to, if all goes well, we should be making our way through Viridian Forest. But first, before we do that, I want to make sure my Pokemon are a good enough level to make it through. So, first of all, we gotta train up Olivia here, which is, I can't tell, currently. I think they are a cloister, although it is very difficult to tell. Yeah, it is a shell symbol, so I believe this is the cloister. Yeah, it is very difficult to tell from the back, because from the back this just kind of looks like a mess of rough edges and spikes. Doesn't really look all that much like an actual living being from the back. But yeah, I couldn't help but notice that in the last episode, I did that thing where I trail off and forget what I was talking about when I was talking about Ninetales. Because I said that, and the funny thing is, I trailed off while talking about not trailing off. I did that thing while I was talking about how I always do that thing. So I was like, oh yeah, I always get sidetracked and forget what I was saying, but I won't do that. And then I kept talking about how I get sidetracked and forget what I was saying, and then I got sidetracked and forgot what I was saying. So I think that's really funny. But back to what I was talking about last episode is that, just to finish up the thought, I think that, while I'm not the biggest fan of Ninetales, because I'm not the biggest fan of Gen 1 fire types as a whole, I'm also not the biggest fan of Alolan Ninetales, even though I really like the Alolan Mons. So in summary, I don't really feel strongly about either Ninetales in any direction, but I do like the Alolan one slightly more. I don't know, I just think the design has more detail. You can see the fluffiness of it. I feel like regular Ninetales just doesn't have a lot of texture to it. And hey, maybe they fixed that and put them on Scarlet and Violet. I don't even know if Ninetales is in Scarlet and Violet. It might be. Scarlet and Violet has a pretty big Pokedex. I think it's the same size as I think it's slightly bigger than Sword and Shields. But I don't really know. Like I said, I haven't beaten those games yet. Yeah, quick update, I still haven't beaten them, by the way. Because I'm too busy with this. And other things, such as the game that I took out from the library. But oh my gosh, that is a super effective low kick. I guess I should have expected that the fighting type would go for the super effective fighting type move, but I'm too busy talking to actually be paying attention, which is also the main reason why I lost that last episode, I think. I lost in the last episode. Yeah, if you missed the last episode, I lost again. It's a kind of comedic at this point how many times I've lost, but at the same time, it's not that funny, because I think it would be funnier if we made progress, and then we could die in more ways than just in Viridian Forest and Brock. Dying in different ways would be probably funnier. But yeah, I think it's also funny that in the last episode, I distinctly said I wouldn't care about Magmar. I don't care about Magmar. I was like, I don't really feel very strongly about Gen 1 fire types, and then I used Magmar as an example, and later on in that episode, I got a Magmar. I think that my luck is really just, it's not necessarily bad or good. I like to point it out when it's bad, but it can be good too. Really, my luck is just, very, I guess, just, it's odd. It fits situations. That's my luck feels very scripted. I promise it's not, because how do you even script this crap? How on earth do you even script Gen 1 randomized run? I wouldn't know how to script that. I promise none of this is scripted. My dialogue clearly isn't scripted, so why would the game be scripted? Because if the game was scripted, I would be able to script the dialogue. But clearly, the dialogue is not scripted. Otherwise, I wouldn't have these long pauses of me not knowing what to say. But, yeah. My luck feels scripted. I think that is the best word I could use for it, is, scripted. Because it's just, sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's really good. But always, somehow, it's exactly what you'd expect, you know? I was talking about, I said the only problem for me would be a Zapdos. And then the next day I ran into a Zapdos. I said, if this thing metronomed Earthquake, that would be a problem. And then it metronomed Earthquake. It's just like, my luck is exactly my luck can be good, it can be really good, and it can be really bad, but overall my luck is just exactly what you expect. And I think that's so funny. It is the perfect content creator luck. But yeah, we're gonna take down this Dragonair. At this level, Dragonite did not have Dragon Rage, so I'm not worried about this thing having Dragon Rage. I think that's really interesting, because usually, like, I guess, usually Pokemon would get, like, with Pokemon, a lot of things, like, get harder. Like, with video games, they get, like, less difficult over time. So, the fact that in this game, Dragonite has no Dragon Rage at this level, but in future games, it probably just starts with Dragon Rage. I don't know for sure that it starts with Dragon Rage. Some Dragon types just don't, but I feel like the amount of Dragon types that start with Dragon Rage are greater than the amount that don't. And maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's what I think. But yeah, like, just the fact that, like, they're pseudo-legendary in Pokemon Red and Blue would be worse than that same pseudo-legendary in future gens doesn't really make sense to me, because, like, just games typically get easier, so it doesn't make sense why the strong Pokemon would be less strong in Gen 1, but then again, it's not like a thing of, like, oh yeah, they're making the enemy weaker as time goes on. It's them making, because, like, it's not that easy, it's not that simple to explain it away as that, because technically they're also making, like, your partner weaker, you know? Like, Pokemon, it's not necessarily all, like, it's not unlike other games, like, difficulty in Pokemon is not necessarily all black and white, because it may be like, oh yeah, they made this Pokemon weaker, but is that really better for you? Because now that Pokemon will still be weaker than when you use it. Like, your enemy is weaker using that Pokemon, but if you caught that Pokemon and tried to use it yourself, it would also be weaker. So it's like, on one hand, making a Pokemon have access to worse moves as generations go on makes it easier to fight that Pokemon. But on the other hand, it makes it harder to use that Pokemon. So unlike normal games, just nerfing an enemy, making them less powerful, doesn't necessarily make the game easier, especially when that enemy is a Pokemon that is commonly used, you know? Like, nerfing a commonly used Pokemon is probably more of a hassle to people playing the game than it is making it easier for them. Yeah, like I said, like I said in a previous episode, I really like normal type Pokemon, especially Gen 1 normal type Pokemon. Like Lickitung line, fantastic. I mean, Licky. I think that I might like original Lickitung slightly better. I just think that Lickitung's design looks kind of weird. Like, obviously, I like Licky because he's, like, kind of busted. That Ring Out is, like, really good. Ring Out is just a really good move to have. Because, like, who doesn't love Water Spout? Like, imagine that, but with normal types. You know, like, I think the normal types are honestly, like, really... People sleep on normal types so much, because it's just good to have something that is, like, just, I don't know, just, like, neutral. It's nice to have, like, neutral hits sometimes, you know? Just something that you can, like, always, normal types are just ever reliable, you know? It's like, they can hit pretty much anything, except for ghost types. And, like, yes, Steel and Rock are not very effective, but compared to other types, like, I'm sure other types are not very effective on way more things, and it's just good to have, like, only one weakness. I think that is the best part of normal types. Like, being immune to ghost type moves is great. Having so few things that resist it is great. But I think that the best part of using a normal type is just, like, only one thing is super effective on you. And I think that is like also what makes Electric really good, and that's why I picked the starter that I did in this run. Is because like just having one weakness, like you think about like it doesn't seem like a lot, like oh, one weakness versus two weaknesses, but it really is a big difference considering like how many Pokemon there are of each type. You know, like cutting out just one weakness, like a Pokemon with one less weakness than another Pokemon is already just so much better, because it's just like you eliminated like 50 Pokemon that could hit you. Not in this game, like but like because obviously this game doesn't have as many Pokemon as like the ones after it. Because like while Gen 1 did introduce the most Pokemon, which I think is crazy that they still can't beat 151 in one game, but I kind of get it because like it is the first game, they don't have anything to build off of, you know? Like in future games, it's like, oh yeah, you always start, they can always bring over some of the ones from previous games. In Gen 1, like this was the first one, so they needed a huge Pokedex and they had nothing to start with. So just like every game in the future, like after this one, beats this one in Pokedex number, not because it introduced more new Pokemon, but simply because it's just like they had so many Pokemon to work with before that. Like Generation 2 did not introduce any more Pokemon, like it did not introduce more Pokemon than Gen 1 did, but Gen 2 just had like every Gen 1 Pokemon in it. So then Gen 2 is automatically just just it has more Pokemon. But and then like even in future games where it's like, oh yeah, regional decks, because I think that I don't know how Gen 2 works, because I know that like Gen 3 was like the first one where they established like this is regional decks, this is national decks. I don't need to get an encounter here. I already got my encounter here. Well, I shouldn't say that. I sacrificed my encounter here out of stupidity. But look, how much does Clamp do? Is Clamp water too? Wait, is Clamp a water type move? We're about to find out. Not very effective. Yeah, it is a water type move. Oh, it's one of these moves. I did not know that. Oh, that's cool. It's nice because Wrap, the problem is that like it's normal type. And I know I was just gassing up normal types earlier. But like normal type moves are just not very effective against anything. So while Wrap is like kind of busted that it can just keep going, it's gonna keep not like there's no situation where you'd want Wrap over like Fire Spin or Clamp, as I've just learned. Clamp is one of those moves too. So like Clamp is just good because also this means we can take out like Ground, Rock, and Fire, like super effective, constantly hitting them. They can't get out of it. Like that just sounds epic. That's awesome. This sounds awesome to have. But yeah, let's take out this guy's team is a little bit higher level than I was expecting. But you just have that on Nidoran. Hopefully his Pokemon continue to be like this, just easy to take out, so we could get some more XP here. So I'm officially done with like the grinding now. I just wanted to get every Pokemon to an even level. That even level being 8 because that's what my starter was at. Tentacool! Oh yeah, you still have your starter. That makes sense. Okay, so let's switch out to, someone else. Andrew. Let's do Andrew. I think I just heard something. I hope y'all didn't hear that. It was a pretty low noise, but, let me just check something real quick, EV Clan. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, I don't know if I'll cut that out. I might. We'll see. But, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, he has the Tentacool. So we luckily still have that super effective Pokemon on him. That is good to know that like he will continue to have this Pokemon. Like really, that's great in a randomizer where like rival carry starter through the game for them to just have that like Pokemon that you are super effective against with your starter, because that means as long as you keep your starter, their starter will continue to not be a problem. And that's just like a reliable thing. And like that is how it works in future games, where it's like, oh yeah, as long as you continue to use your starter, you will continue to be super effective against them. But it's not a sure thing in a Nuzlocke. it's not something that exists in like the normal game, because in this game they pick the one that's super effective against you. Which in future games, another reason why Pokemon has gotten easier, and just video games in general get easier as the games have gone on, as years have gone on. It's just like they used to pick the one that is super effective against you. Now they pick the one that is worse against you. And I like what X and Y did, where they did both. Because like people say like X and Y is too easy, and I agree. I think that like I don't know why I switched out my water type against a water type to a fire type against a water type, because that is like even worse. That is an even worse option. I'm just not concentrating on the game. But I better concentrate on the game, because I realized in the last episode, and I don't know if I said this yet, once again, my memory is not that good, so maybe I did. But in the last episode, no wait, I'm doing that thing again, where I go off of one topic and go on to the other. What was I just talking about? I'll talk about that, I'll finish talking about that, and then I'll go on to the next thing. The thing that I was talking about before I almost went off on a tangent was X and Y. I think that, yes, it was made very easy, and there are a couple factors that contribute to X and Y being a very easy game. One of them is EXP share right after the first gym, and the new busted EXP share. People just weren't used to it, and like, yes, it has still made Pokemon games easier from then on, and like, but like, by proxy, and like, it continues to make Pokemon games easier. Like, I don't think people realize that like, the EXP share was like, not the EXP share the way it was in X and Y is not just an X and Y thing. Like, that continues to make games easy. I feel like they just pin it on X and Y, like, oh yeah, bust the EXP share, when in reality, like, they shouldn't. They should realize that that has been in games since then, and if they're gonna call X and Y easy, they're gonna call X and Y easy because of the EXP share. They should continue to call games after that easy because of the EXP share, because the EXP share didn't really change between games, unless I'm wrong. Like, maybe there was a slight nerf to it or some crap, but overall it just did not change. And if anything, games after X and Y have been even easier, and you don't really have a choice. Unlike X and Y, you don't really have a choice, because like in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, like, I don't even know. I don't know when they started, like, basically they made it a setting. In one game they made it a setting, like, it's not even an item anymore, it's just like you turn it on or off. And then I think that in a more recent game, I don't know if it was Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl or Scarlet and Violet, or Legends Arceus, I don't know which game did this first. I don't know if all the games that I just named even did that, but they made it a thing that cannot be turned off. Which I don't have a problem with. I've never had a problem with the EXP share. If you don't want one Pokemon to get over leveled, and you don't want that EXP being shared with that Pokemon, then just kill that Pokemon. And if you're doing a Nuzlocke, well, that's unfortunate. But for me, that's never been a problem. I can see if you're doing like a hardcore Nuzlocke and you have a level cap, why that might be bad. Scratch that, why that is definitely bad. But like, I'm just not paying attention to the Pokemon that are being sent out. But like, for me, it's not really a problem. But yeah, I can absolutely see why people are upset about that. But yeah, like, X and Y is not the most intrusive with the EXP share, I don't think. EXP share is only one reason why that game is so easy, and future games will continue to be easy just because of EXP share. It's not just an X and Y exclusive problem, like game is easy because of EXP share. That continued on. However, the other thing is just how early you get Megas, and Megas are really busted, and I think that in Oras, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, in case you don't speak Pokemon abbreviation, in Oras, what they did to counter this was that I believe Mega Evolutions you didn't get until like post game, either that or you got them like really late in the game. I don't know. I've never played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which I think is nuts with how much I've played Gen 3, but I don't know, I just never got around to it. I'm not the right person to ask about this crap, but I believe that it is post game you get the Megas. But then again, Mega Rayquaza isn't post-game, so I find it hard to believe they'd be showing you a Mega Legendary when you can't get Megas for yourself. And also, Wally does have a Mega, so maybe I'm completely wrong. I could be completely wrong. once again, haven't played those games. But, I'm fairly sure, and I know I always say this, and it's like, oh yeah, you're fairly sure, and then Editor Alex corrects me. Shout out to Editor Alex, if you're listening to this, which I know you are. Hi me of the future. Because I watched these back, I watched the entire video back, just to make sure, like, that everything is fine. The problem is, I watch it all back, and then I go to edit it, and then sometimes I forget to cut out things, because, like, my memory's really bad, as I've said before. So yep, I was saying something, and then I forgot what I was saying. Brain fart moment. Hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna try to figure out what I was just talking about before my brain locked in on they're sending out a Krabby. My brain just, like, I saw the word Krabby, and I was like, oh, Jolteon! And then, that was the summary of all thoughts that happened in that moment. No other thoughts in my brain at that moment besides that. But, oh yeah, so I watch all these back, and then what happens is I end up forgetting. So I watch all these back to see what I have to edit, and things I have to edit out, things I have to say, like, for instance, I'm gonna watch this back, and I'm gonna see that I have to say hello to myself. I have to edit in, hi Alex, and then, I'm gonna do that. And unless I forget it, which I probably won't, because I'm getting close to where I think I want to wrap up, so I will probably remember that. Like, I watch through it, and then I edit it. Like, I don't edit it while watching through it, because I just want to make sure, I don't know. I guess that would be the smarter things to do, but that's what I do, is I watch through it first, and then I open up my editing software, and then I edit it. But yeah, I watch through it, and I see what the issues are, what I need to, like, edit and stuff, what, like, edits I need to do, and then I actually load up the editing software, and sometimes I just forget to do those edits. So, like, if you see something that maybe, like, probably should have been cut out, then, whoops, that's just my memory not working. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we have super effective Ember. It's gonna take down this pincer, no problem. I've cycled through so many topics this episode. I think that I've done that thing where I've just get lost on tangents so many times this episode. I'm trying to find something to spring back to. I guess we'll talk about fire types, I was talking about normal types, I was talking about, editing, I was talking about X and Y. X and Y is the most recent topic. Let's go back to that one. So, basically, the other problem, so, I think that the fact that, yes, you can get megas early, which is crazy enough as it is, but getting megas, the thing is, if you can get a mega ring early, that's fine. You know, you get the mega ring early, okay. At least you don't have the Pokemon to mega. And, hey, even if you do have the Pokemon to mega, at least you don't have, like, in Oras, I'm sure you get the mega ring fairly early. Maybe you get it post-game, I don't know. I doubt you get it post-game, because, like I said, there are people using megas around you, so I don't see why you wouldn't also have a mega ring. So, like, maybe it's Oras. Maybe you have the mega ring, and maybe you have Pokemon that you can mega, but finding the stones is a whole thing. And some of them, most of them, I'm sure can't be found until post-game. Because I remember watching through, like, Pimp Knight's old walkthrough of X and Y, and I remember that he didn't get, like, any megas until post-game. Of course, with the exception of, like, the Mega Starters, or whatever. The Mega Gen 1 Starters, and, of course, the Mega Lucario that you are given, which is the main issue that I am addressing right here, right now. Which, it works out for me, because in case y'all didn't know, I don't think I mentioned this before. I might have, but, Lucario is my favorite Pokemon. So it really works out for me, because I get my favorite Pokemon for free, and it's a Mega. Comes Mega'd. Fantastic. Awesome. Great. But the issue with that is, you just got a free Mega at, like, the 3rd gym. You know, like, it's one thing to have the ability to get the Mega. It's one thing to have the ability to get the Pokemon that Megas. It's one thing to have the Mega Ring. it's one thing to, like, theoretically be able to get a Pokemon Mega Evolved. It's another thing to have the Mega Ring given to you, and then also the Pokemon and the Mega Stone given to you. Like, they just gave you all of it. They just ensured that you're going to be able to Mega Evolve. You're going to be able to have a Pokemon to Mega Evolve. And I don't know how early you are given, like, Venusaurite and Blastoiseite and Charizardite, but I'm sure it's relatively early as well. And I guess this is my opportunity. My one opportunity. I'm noticing. I'm looking at the timer that shows how long I've recorded, and I'm seeing that this is we're at 25 minutes, which means I am finally going to get to wrap up an episode at the time that I wanted to wrap up these episodes. So I'm gonna talk fast. I'm gonna make sure that I do it before it hits 26. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, EV Clan, and I think I already said that, but I'll see y'all next time. This is Alex Espion, signing off.